Well, joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this and much more, I have African Farmer Mogaji, the immediate past chairman of Agriculture and Agro-Allied Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and is also an agribusiness strategist. Thank you very much for joining us on the breakfast show this morning, African Farmer.
Thank you for having me.
We're really reeling from the impact of this Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now, prices of fertilizers more than doubled in the markets today. How do you see this inflationary pattern continuing, especially on the back of the fact that we also having big players like Dangote Fertilizer coming to bear? Although the project has been commissioned, it already had a test run phase sometime in 2020, but we are yet to have a full launch. How do you see this inflationary pattern going further?
Yeah, it will still increase almost all through 2020. The Dangote plant will not be in full operations till later towards the end of the year. And we pray for good, but we still don't know if anything will come up. So we can't plan with the operations because they're not fully started. But the Russia-Ukraine war, there's no end in view as we sit today. So that means the prices will keep going up. So we can't import also because everybody is holding on to their fertilizer right now. So it's not looking really good, but we have to make something out of it also.
Now, the live pictures we have there is some shots from Dangote Fertilizer plant in Lagos. To what extent do you think this would also help reduce the pressure and the cost of fertilizer in the country?
So I'm happy we have the Dangote fertilizer up, but I'm not excited.
It's a private entity.
Yes. Beyond being a private entity, for Dangote already has established networks across West Africa, India, Brazil, and US, where they've tested the fertilizer exporting there, and it was accepted according to his speech. Now, so the challenge now is that will government, the only reason why Dangote would supply everything into the Nigerian market is if the government contracts to supply fertilizer goes to him. You know, so what we've had over the years is all the producers that produce premium quality don't get the contracts to supply fertilizers for Nigerian farmers. So they now have to export their fertilizer for them to be sustainable. They come with the vision and the heart to improve the country, but when the Ministry of Agriculture does not give them the contract to supply quality because they bring in substandard, then they have no choice but to export. Name it, most of the fertilizer companies in Nigeria that produce premium are exporting. They make more money, but they have the heart for the people, but the ministry does not patronize them.
What do you make of the president's statement expressing delight that the era of persistent shortage of fertilizer is a thing of the past now? According to the president, he's commending FEPSAN for partnering with the government in terms of backward integration and also ensuring that we see the enhanced agricultural value chain he's hoping for. Do you think this is anything to go by or share in the optimism?
So I've been around for some time.
I know.
And as former chairman at the Agri Group at the Lagos Chamber, we interact with government at all levels. And it is what they give the president to read that we will read. I can tell you for fact that the price, so we learned from media, Vanguard precisely, July publication 2021, that the fertilizer blending companies have moved from 7 to about 47. So that should mean that the prices should go lower because it's now competitive. However, that's not the reality. The reality is year in, year out, till date, the cost is going higher. So where are the 47 fertilizer blending plants? How functional are they? So bottom line is when the president reads that the scarcity will move, the scarcity, in fact, all the states that border West African countries use the fertilizer from those countries.
Here.
No.
Oh, from those countries,
from
and
those
then
countries.
Even our market has to export there
from
because
Togo,
that's much more commercially viable.
From Benin.
For there.
You know, the Ogun State, the Oyo State, any state bordering any West African country uses the fertilizer from that country because it's cheaper and it's quality. So bottom line is that even FEPSAN, the Fertilizer Association, The government fertilizer, I say it because sometimes if you don't say these things, government will not know where to work on. Now, the poorest quality of fertilizer, I stand to be corrected, they can go and test, is the one that is supplied with the coat of arms of Nigeria. Very unfortunate. And FESAM or whatever their name is, their brand and logo is there. Take it to the lab.
How pathetic is the situation, especially when we have countries like France also looking at biotechnology in terms of using zero-waste fermentation process as well to produce much more sustainable chemicals from recycled sugar beet waste. Now, this is a forward-thinking area where we ought to also we need to start putting our best foot forward. We cannot continue to celebrate mediocrity.
So you see, there's quite a lot of small and medium-scale fertilizer companies coming up that do organic, that use animal waste, recycled waste. There's one in Ikorodu here in Lagos.
Yeah.
About the soil and co. We need to fund them, not so that at every level we're participating, we're supporting them, because these are long-term production, but we don't fund them. They don't get access to all this long-term funding. So we have them currently, but they are struggling. Some are using neem, what we call dogoyaro. We have the raw material, so we should have the organic, we should have the chemicals. Everybody has a place, but we should not abandon one for the other for periods like this, where there's a global distortion and we can bring it in. So the farmers can still manage this. So bottom line right now is that it's not looking good for our food production because the big players can't play. And don't even forget, when we're talking about this fertilizer, we seem to look at, yes, Dangote fertilizer will produce about 4,300,000 bags, not even tons now, bags of fertilizer, which is huge. But that is a raw material for the blending plus to blend the potassium and coat with it. However, the thing is that if they don't get it, the cost is always higher. Then urea is used mostly at the second stage. The first stage is the NPK. So interventions need to go into the blending plants, parts or component, such that the development growth, the first 4 to 6 weeks of any crop depends on the NPK, not the urea. So most of the urea produced now is for the second phase.
Second phase.
However, also part of the first phase.
Okay, let's now discuss some reality we're going to also face tomorrow, because we're expecting the National Bureau of Statistics to come up with the Consumer Price Index, and definitely we have food inflation soaring at double digits. How do you think this figure we have now in terms of the double cost of fertilizer translate to the average food price that we have? So many people have plunged below the poverty line. Not too many Nigerians can feed 3 square meals anymore. Except
the document is doctored, it should increase. The double digit should increase, except it's doctored. Because the reality out there is that diesel has gone up, it affects logistics. Dollar has gone up, it affects supply and demand. So bottom line is that it's not going to be looking good. However, it's still an opportunity for us to look inward and produce.
And the rains are coming as well.
Yeah, but it really, for me, it's not as bad as it looks if we put the right strategy, on the table.
Hopefully we get to put the right strategy on the table. It's a phase out for the Buhari administration. We are all getting set for the year 2023. Hopefully we have a new team that takes agriculture much more seriously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.